Hello everybody and welcome back to the Glorious Non-Gaming channel. I'm your savage host Oskaput and today we're diving into Enshrouded. This is not a review, at least not a full review, as the game is not fully flushed out, it's not in its 1.0 version, it's still in early access and there's still a long way to go until it will be out. But I still believe it is a brilliant game, even as it is. It's a beautiful world to explore. Just take a look at my pumpkin patch and the flax growing here. You have the option to build in this game, and let me tell you, building and crafting is absolutely wonderful. Look at my barn over here and the house I've built for my farmers and some other structures. This pyramid, for example, here. Not really a pyramid, but a pyramidal construction. Houses my fire altar, or flame altar as it's called. Oh, I've locked myself in. And of course, my big mansion. I think I've made it a bit too big for the needs that I had. And of course, I even have a guest house. It's furnished, but not excessively. It even has an armor over there, some chests. It even has a bathroom, let me show you. With a shower, toilet, even a bathtub. And this is the game's version of a sink. I think the voxel-based system in this game is absolutely beautiful. The fact that the building doesn't actually have a structural integrity just gives you so much freedom in building whatever you want, however big you want it, however crazy you want to go. And to be honest, I've seen very beautiful builds. The community is just all over the place with it, from spooky horror kind of designs to very beautiful mansions and gardens. You have a lot of freedom, a lot of freedom. The addition of these chests, the magical chests that allow you to build throughout the compound, you know, the area that's actually covered by your flame altar, that's a wonderful addition. Very beautiful, beautifully done. I wish they'd add a button here that would allow us to sort through all of the chests that are magically linked, because that would make it so much easier than me having to grab all of this in my inventory and sort it manually. So devs, if you ever come across this, please, for the love of God, just add it in the game. It makes things so much easy if I can just put everything in there, hit a button, and they will all sort themselves throughout all of the chests. I believe that would be a beautiful addition to the game. It would make this craziness that happens with my chest, because I just put another chest down and dump everything I have in my inventory in it. It'll make it so much easier and conserve some space, and the game would not have to render so many of these chests. I think that would be a very beautiful addition. Another thing that could be done is to limit a little bit of the grindiness of the game. If things could be manufactured while you sleep at the 60x speed that the night passes through, that would be a beautiful addition as well. I think it would do wonders for the grindy feel of the game as it is right now. The furniture looks amazing. Whomever is designing this, congratulations, keep doing it. You're doing a wonderful job. The NPCs look good. You have an option to allow them to move around the base, but I found that the pathing is not exactly the best, and they kind of tend to end up locking themselves somewhere, just not being able to go anywhere from here. Most of them, I don't know why, even the pets, they end up on this floor that's empty. They end up somewhere over there, like the dog is doing right now, and then they get stuck. The addition of pets, spot on. Congratulations on this idea, and the fact that they give you a buff when you interact with them. It kind of feels very close and natural to what we actually feel as human beings towards our actual pets. And I'm the kind of person that loves all animals. I've owned both dogs and cats. I still have a cat back home in my home country, which I love very much. A very wonderful pet. And yeah, it's a brilliant and beautiful addition. I hope that in the future we'll be able to tame the wild ones as well, the wolves and the other creatures that attack us, and use them as mounts, flying mounts. I think that would be a very, very beautiful addition to the game. And there's room for it. I mean, you have to run a lot in this game. Moving from point A to B, going through all of the biomes. I think having mounts would be a great addition to the game. And after that, you can build stables, give us some saddles, some customization items. I think that would be a very beautiful addition to the game. Let me know in the comments what you think about it, if you agree with me. I think the addition of flying mounts, especially with the Albanese summits, don't give them to us too early, but make it an option, because I want to fly on one of those wyverns or whatever they're called. I think it would be very interesting, and since you have to navigate those peaks, it would be a good addition into the game right before you have to light all the balefires in Albanese summits. I think flying mounts right before that quest, so an additional quest given to you probably by the farmer, or I don't know, maybe an NPC that you find in the Albanese summits. I think that would be a wonderful addition to the game, to be honest. You know, it would make our lives so much easier if we do that quest and then we'd go light the balefires. Because let's be honest, people are not gonna walk into those structures that you've designed. They're not gonna fight all of the mobs. They're gonna try to avoid them all the time. And since you have gliding, they're gonna climb on a peak and they're gonna glide straight to the balefire. So if they're already doing that, why not make it a beautiful addition? If you want players to stay a little bit longer in the game, and that was the worry, by adding that quest to get the mount, I believe it would be the right way to go about it. As I've said, you can get very creative in the game, from massive structures and fortresses to barns and huts. This game's got you covered from the crafting and building side of things. The voxel system is absolutely impeccable. I don't really have much to say about it, at least not negatively. It's true you can't really create curves, so if you want to create curved walls, it's a little bit difficult, and it ends up looking more like hexagons or weird squares, or but it is what it is. You can't have it all, right? The system has its own small issues, but overall you can create impressive things. And let's be honest, we humans generally build things that look like this: square, rectangular. When it comes to our homes, very rarely do we actually build circular constructions and towers. Very rarely. So it's not much of a loss. Could that be improved? Maybe. I don't really know. I don't really know exactly how complicated it is in a voxel-based system to create all the correct, you know, angles and circular structures and stuff, because you'd probably have to cut into the actual voxels, and that would change the units. I think it's a bit complicated, but it's good for now. We don't necessarily need that. The building is still extremely creative and wonderful, and if you are a creative person, you can build very nice and interesting homes and huts and villages. And due to the fact that there's no construction limitations and you don't have structural integrity, that allows you to do a lot. And I've enjoyed building this village. It's not the best. I haven't had that much time to spend on it, but I will continue to expand and make it more than this, a lot more beautiful than it actually is right now. You can even build underground, the way the tools work and the way you dig, as I've done over here. And I have an additional cave here that I'm going to modify and redesign a little bit so I can make it an actual hunter's den. I don't know how much you're gonna be able to see right now. Let me see if I have something that will light the whole thing. I don't think so. So yeah, it's probably gonna be too dark in there, but just you can see from this point that you can actually build a cave, a den, and you can modify things in there. You can go very deep and you can build this entire town that I've built here. You can actually do it underground, which is wonderful. To be honest, it's wonderful. It's about 1,000,000 times better than Return to Moria. About 1,000,000 times better. The design and the way that things merge together after you've placed them, bro, that's just another round of applause there. Whomever designed this and made it fit so well and connect at the end and become a single wall, a single structure, kudos to you. This is amazing. It's absolutely impeccable. The design of the plants and the flora, the fauna, it's just absolutely stunning. The environment has a way of pulling you in and calling you to go and explore and run around everywhere and see everything. You look from a peak into the fog over there and you're thinking, I'm gonna go there next. There's something there. There's a structure I can see, or half of it. It's already super, super inviting. It's a very beautiful environment, and for that you deserve more than just a round of applause. The NPCs, they're interesting. They all have their own designs, their own backstories, their own quirks and perks. For example, if you haven't seen that, this guy over here, he actually holds a nail in his mouth. Like, he quit smoking, but he's still holding a nail in his mouth, which that's like a little bit of attention to detail that leads you on to a potential backstory. They interact, not as much as I wanted to see them interact. Like, for example, you have this lady here and her mom as well over here. And when you do get them both and you spawn them, they act like they don't actually know each other. They don't really interact. There's nothing happening there. I wish that you'd work a little bit more on that, and that would change. I think the blacksmith acknowledges when you bring his daughter back, but there's not much of an interaction here. I would like to see a little bit more of that. The farmers as well, they should get together. They should interact, have conversations, you know, about plants and stuff. Same thing with the alchemists. They should discuss certain philosophical aspects and stuff while you pass them by, instead of just interacting with you all the time, asking you things. And you really need to do something about the line of sight of both the NPCs and the enemies in this game, because they all seem to detect you through walls, even when you're above them. Some of them can even attack you through the walls. As you can see right here, they're trying to interact with me through the wall. Which I think kind of has an issue there. It kind of breaks the immersion just a little bit. A bit of finesse there would go a long way. The decorations, they're beautiful. They're simply beautiful. Just look at the sketches on this thing. It's absolutely amazing. The addition of weather in the game. Now it can rain. You can have certain aspects of the weather shift on you. And it does affect you to a certain point. I wish they would add a bit more than just the rain and the winds and whatever they've added in the other environments. The snow, I wish they'd add a little bit more and a bit more of a variation, you know. In this biome, for example, it never snows. Maybe once every, I don't know, 60 days that could happen, you know. Why not? It would make the whole environment feel a bit more realistic and alive. It would give you a moment of aha when you come back to your garden from a long journey and you see that it snowed on things. I think it's a bit complicated, considering the amount of plants and distribution and so on, but you don't need necessarily to make the snow settle, for example. It could just melt. It would be like a freak nature occurrence, right? Like it happens sometimes in the real world, and it snows and the snow will not stick, but it still makes you wow. You know, think about all the beautiful winters you spent drinking that mulled wine with cinnamon and oranges, sitting by a fire. You know what I mean. It will just add to the beauty of the world. And don't get me wrong, it is wonderful already, but all of these small additions would make it absolutely great. It's good, make it great, make it extraordinary. That's what I want to see from this perspective. We're gonna talk a little bit about combat. It has a turn to night, which is wonderful that it has night and day cycles. As I've said, I wish that these things, these workstations that have things inside of them would progress at the same speed as the night passes, because that would make everything feel less grindy, which would be a wonderful addition for the game. Trust me, you may think that you don't need it, but you need it. You need it. All of these things are not just coming from me. I've also looked at what the community's been saying about the game and what the majority of players have been saying. And with millions of copies sold, I don't need to put pressure on you too much. That's wonderful. It's really good for you, and I hope you sell millions more. And if you do listen to some of these advice, you will sell millions more. The combat is good. It's nothing to phone home about. There are some issues with line of sight and mobs attacking you through the floor or through the walls, which usually happens with the ranged ones. But I have had issues where even melee NPCs, enemies, have leapt through the actual corner of the building. I was like this on the actual edge, and it leapt through me on the same edge and hit me, right? Which was a bit weird, but it has happened more than once. Enemies that have ranged skills will hit you through walls, through corners, and that needs to be fixed because it's an absolute immersion breaker. That needs to be gone. It needed to be gone yesterday or the day before. But as it is still in early access, all of these things can be fixed. It's just that I wish you'd prioritize the combat aspects and the line of sight aspects of the NPCs and the enemies before moving further with more of them. Because the more you add and the more abilities they have, the more difficult it's going to be to fix all of these issues later. But if you do it now, you will at least know what to expect when you create new abilities for the new NPCs and enemies. Right? Excuse me from running around, but I'm trying to focus on what I have to say about the environment and the combat for now. We're gonna go do a little bit of combat. You're gonna see that the crunch isn't really there, and it's not very impactful. It is somewhat rewarding most of the time, but sometimes it can turn out to be quite frustrating. Well, these enemies are not gonna be anything too tough because they're all one hit. So let's go into an area that's a little bit more difficult. Just need to grab some of these things. Then some here. And I do understand that the combat could get extensively difficult if too many mobs would attack you at once. But there seems to be a slight issue. Don't get me wrong, some of them will attack you at the same time, but most of the time it kind of feels like they're just waiting their turn to be hit or to hit you, which could be improved a little bit. It also, I think it comes a little bit with the line of sight, right? So you can't have too many. If you're surrounded, let's say you have 2 or 3 mobs that occupy a certain area around you, like these corners would do for me right now. You still have some room to get attacked by an additional one from here, right? And that would make players do more of this, right? Dodge a bit more. It will also upskill players a little bit more and make players choose their battles a little bit more strategic. And that would add an extra layer to the combat. Yeah, and the rotation of the spells and skills of mobs, NPCs and bosses, they feel very repetitive. Very repetitive. I've seen that with the new biome, there have been some unique changes and unique additions to some of the old designs, because I wouldn't say that all of them are like new NPCs. Some of them are reskinned, rehabilitated NPCs, but it's good. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. I just wish that they would have a little bit more logic incorporated in their AIs, and the same way that we choose our strategy when we go into the battle and we survey things, they should as well be a bit more strategic and a bit more worried and concerned about the damage they take. Maybe even make some of the enemies attempt to flee, to run away, and maybe gather threat from other NPCs, bring them with them. That would be a very interesting mechanic. I've seen it done before. It worked beautiful for other games. It could work for this one as well. And in a sense, it might even be beneficial for players as the mobs keep gathering in numbers, coming towards them, instead of us having to figure out where they are, find them, chase them, whatever. If they run away in fear, let them run away in fear for a while, return to attack, or I don't know, go for other NPCs. As I've said, that would be very interesting to see them going and bringing one of the elites back, like the guys with the fire attacks in Albanese summits, or the guys with the poison attacks in the desert area. I don't really know their names. I mean, I play way too many games to remember every single mob's name, but you know what I'm talking about. I want to see that. And these bad boys here, these big animals, they really need to be pulling on some carts, helping you out on the farm, plowing the fields. You can add some mechanics that don't necessarily need to take forever. But for example, right now, since I have the whole area planted, after I gather all of this, if I need to use one of these animals to plow the field here, that would be wonderful. If you make the NPCs that I have as farmers and whatever do all of these things for me, that would be brilliant. I mean, that would be the next stage. You know what I mean? That would be absolutely wonderful. Have them pick all of this, have them put them in certain chests. That would just be a wonderful addition. It would make the game so much better. Finessing will always make it look so much better and feel so much better. The game is amazing, it looks amazing, it feels amazing, but there's a whole massive potential for it that I don't think it's being tapped right now. But I do have faith in the development team that they will push themselves to make this game as wonderful as they can. That's why I'm making this video. I usually don't make this kind of videos, but I decided to do it this time because I like this game so much that I actually did not want to play it until it came out fully flushed. But then again, I also want to spend some time providing some very well deserved and much needed feedback, in my opinion, because I believe that these people are willing to do a lot with this feedback. And you guys should leave your ideas in the comments. That's why the comment section is there, so that you can help, not me personally, but the development team, if they eventually see this video and YouTube doesn't bury it like it does with most of my videos. That's why I'm trying as much as I can to keep a language that's more in line with YouTube's policies. If you hear me say ridiculous, it's usually a different R word, also R-rated word, that people born in the 80s and 90s like me use a lot. I'll just leave it at that. I'm pretty sure you guys understand what I'm talking about. I like this addition of the hooks and the fact that you can build your own and you can do this, which is absolutely wonderful. I think there's room to build like training courses and all sorts of stuff with this and go wild and be very creative. And I'm pretty sure people have done it. And for me, this is just like a quick reach for the levels above where I have things stored or when I need to get into my room. The addition of this, like display cases where you can put fossils, is wonderful. I want to see more of this in all the games of this type. I like the fact that the mannequins have different poses. I wish that they would have a tab for weapons. It would make so much more sense. This one holding a bow, this other one holding a sword in this position. They're good. They could be great. Add weapons to them and they will be great. I love all of these pieces, like this granite fireplace, which looks wonderful. You can really see the level of craftsmanship in designing all of these things. They really do look stunning. And I want to see more of it. But don't get me wrong, there's a ton of this stuff in the game. Right now, there's a ton of it. There's something for everybody that likes to build in different biomes. If you want to build in the desert biome, you have things for that biome. You want to build in the snowy peaks, you have stuff for that. You make things out of granite, which is absolutely beautiful. I think the last pieces really look wonderful. This throne here is made out of granite and looks amazing. So yeah, the world is beautiful. And if you're interested in crafting and building and designing structures and stuff like that, this game's got you covered. It is absolutely worth your money. As I said, the combat is not the best in the world. It's not something to write home about. Some things feel a bit repetitive. The hollow halls feel exhausting, to be honest, and very repetitive. I've made some of these targets for my base, and to be honest, I think they should be invulnerable to damage from the bow. You shouldn't be able to destroy them like that. The ones you make for your base are even way weaker than these ones, because I only shot them once and they completely exploded. So if possible, guys, when you do have the time, please do fix those things, because if they are provided in the game, it would be a shame for them not to be as good as they can be. I love the fact that you can pick up the animals and reposition them, because sometimes they will just walk through walls and stuff, or they push each other out when they eat. They pile on top of each other and then they push each other out through the walls and stuff. So the fact that you can pick them up and replace them where you need them to place them, that's a wonderful thing. I really love it. I wish you'd have a bit more control over, or be a bit better designed in AI, as to not pile on top of each other and push each other. To have a sort of awareness of where they are, of their own position, you know. I think that should be included in the AI. I'm pretty sure it's not a very difficult step to do that. But let's move on from the world and the survival crafting, the crafting aspect of it. I'm pretty sure I've already convinced you. If you're a builder and a crafter and you want to do this in the video game, you're not missing out on anything. You got everything you need, all the tools, all the furnitures, everything to build the house of your dreams, the mansion, the fortress, the crypt, whatever you want to build. This game's got you covered. From that perspective, it's beautiful, it's good, it can be great, and I'm pretty sure by the end of the development cycle it will be great. Gliding feels good. It feels really good. The addition of this updraft ability, genius move, gives you a bit more time. I wish the landing would be on a smaller surface without us having to like do that, because that feels a little bit unnatural for me to do that, just to stop it from moving. And why I say this is because many a times I have fallen off of things just because the character doesn't know where to stop and he just rolls, although I'd want him to, instead of rolling, just put his heels down and stop, you know, hit the brake. But yeah, it's just a preference that I think it's probably just me being a bit more you know, quirky about it. But I think it would be an improvement for the gliding system. And the ability to do it multiple times, to do the updraft multiple times, it would be wonderful. If it could be tied to stamina instead of mana, that would be amazing. I think everybody is with me on that one. That gliding and updrafting and all of that stuff should be tied to stamina instead of mana. Right, because after all, it still causes a deficit if that's what you're envisioning. And this is for the development team. It still causes a deficit, but of stamina instead of mana. Because there are builds in the game that do not rely that much on mana, so we don't have a lot of it. Right, and as I said, the ability to cast that updraft more than once would be amazing. It could and should be a point in the talent tree. And since we are talking about the talent tree, I think there are lots and lots of things in here that just don't really make sense. They're not really that usable. They do not offer that depth that should be there. For example, this for solo players is insignificant. It's something that in the tank tree is just absolutely insignificant. So add an additional node that does something for solo players. Some of the boss fights as well feel like they've been designed for groups, but there are lots and lots of people that have purchased the game that actually play it alone. And I think there should be a little bit more finessing done there as well to better suit the solo player and the group play as well. The final boss right now feels, he really feels like it's more of a group fight than a solo endeavor. Let me just fast travel there. The progression of the game that is tied to the server, this is, it's not a thing that can easily be fixed, you know. Other games like Valheim, for example, has it as well. People think, oh no, that's just tied to you. No, it isn't. Because once other people on your server have killed the bosses and have put their heads on the stones, you can use their abilities even if you haven't killed them. Which, again, it's a server-tied progression more than a character-tied progression, but... Oh, he's back. I've killed him previously. I think right now, in the state this boss is, he really needs to be reworked. The platform that's there, that circle, requires an additional one in the center with a depth to it that's not part of the shroud, so that you can dodge some of the creature's abilities by going in there, and that would ease it for solo players. Or have one of its abilities completely removed. regardless of which one it is, but you can't remove the one that helps players stun it. The fight feels like it forces you into a range build, although most people want to play sword and board, and for the role-playing element of the game, I think that should really stay that way. You know, you shouldn't be forcing the players into a certain play style. It kind of takes away from the beauty of the game and from the beauty of what each player can do on their own, playing in their own style. So yeah, I think the simple addition of another circle in the center of all of this with a depth to it so you can dodge and hide from certain things would be good. It would also be nice if the boss would sometimes land, like for example when he does that sweeping attack, that line that goes across the whole arena that you need to double jump over. I think it would be good if the actual boss would land, because then you'd give melee players a chance at putting in some damage and it wouldn't feel as forced towards ranged attacks as it is right now. And I think the pattern of attack should be slowed down a bit. Number of projectiles reduced for the normal version of the game, right? So when you're playing on normal, it shouldn't be this intense. And in order to aid with all of these activities in the game, if this camera could step back twice as much as it is right now, you wouldn't have such a cluttered screen when the ads come at you and the boss attacks you. The environment is all over the place, colors shifting very fast. It makes it very difficult for you to see what you're actually doing, what you're actually fighting. It takes away from the immersion into the game and it creates frustration. Right now this fight, it's 90% frustration, 10% perspiration. There's no fun in it. I've killed it, I've glitched it. I'm gonna kill it again with a range build because it seems to be the one that's the most efficient and the one that gives you the highest chance of killing it. I don't think using the environment, so the peaks around the arena, is cheesing. I think it's kind of part of the design, otherwise they wouldn't be there. So yeah, I've seen that the most successful fights against this boss is to start in melee until it moves in the second phase. So you stun it, you do the melee damage that you can do. The moment you've got the ads dropped in, you should fly on one of these peaks and take the fight from there in ranged, which again feels very, very forced. It takes away from people's builds, from what people like to do. It doesn't give you that freedom of choice. It's way too forced. So that's what I gotta say about this boss. It's way too forced. It's way too much frustration. There's not much fun in this fight at all. I'm pretty sure some people would disagree. Leave it in the comments. If you have better suggestions than that, same thing. Opinions are welcome as long as you keep it civilized. They're always welcome, right? That's why I always tell people, just put it in the comment section, even if it doesn't help me in any way. Maybe the developers could piece together even bad ideas to create better ideas, right? So yeah, I believe that should be done for this boss. Because right now in melee combat it feels a bit impossible for you to actually down this boss without dying. There's an advantage for people playing in multiplayer, because if one of you survives, the boss doesn't reset. I think you can bypass that issue when you're a single player if you spawn some of these guys. I'm not 100% sure, Because the last time I've killed them, I haven't died when these were spawned. I did spawn some of them to deal with the ads, but I didn't actually die, so I don't know if they remain, but I think they will remain. And they'll continue to attack, especially if they're engaged in combat. If they won't, they should, because that's a bit of a bypass, and it should be added in the game. It's a bit of a bypass to the death penalty that resets the boss completely, while multiplayer people don't have that issue as long as one of them stays alive. So yeah, I think this can and should be improved, because as it is right now, as I've said, it's more frustration than anything else. Let's do a little bit of combat with some of the mobs around here. I think the Cyclops is quite well designed. It has a few flaws, especially when it keeps spamming attacks when you're not even there in that area. I think the AI should be smartened a bit, you know what I mean? Make it a little bit smarter to understand where you are, not just react to what you've done, right? So for example, attacking its legs and then you dodge and you dodge again, it needs to stop attacking in that spot, you know, stop stomping. Literally stop stomping, because it has no reason to do that. It needs to adapt a little bit faster. And I also think that if its area of attack would be adjusted just a little bit to be a bit smaller, especially when it does the daggers attacks, and to be a bit more precise rather than widespread, it would the fight would be a bit more advantageous. These are the mobs that are a bit annoying, as they don't really account for line of sight. I like the way the parry and the blocking system works. I think it's good. It's a beautiful addition that you can parry them and they get stunned and dazed. That kind of mitigates the fact that they do not actually have like stamina or mana or whatever, so they are literally tiny spammers. That thing that you can actually block them and excuse me, stun them, disable them. I think it's a good addition. For resource harvesting and collection, because I did not touch up on this, I really wish that things, instead of falling all over the place and slipping off the side of the mountain or whatever, or flying into the sky, I really wish they would just go into your inventory. Only make them fall on the ground when there's no room in your inventory. That's the only moment that things gathered from resources should fall on the ground or float into the sky. Right? Hopefully not float into the sky, because that's really bad. But I'm pretty sure you'll fix that and it will not happen forever. But if you could modify that to have the resources when you gather them go into your packs, that would be nice. When you kill a mob, yeah, you still need to go and loot it, right? Especially if they're at a distance from you. I wouldn't see that as, you know, a thing. They just, the items just pop into your inventory. But when you're harvesting, I think it's the best solution, right? For the items to literally go into your bag. And that would create less of these issues with things floating into the sky and so on. I'm just gonna do a little bit more fighting. I don't think any of these guys... actually this one can attack. And if I stay here, I think it will hit me through the wall. Come on, let's see if I can make it hit me through the wall. Oh, wait, there's another one. Let's see it. Whoa! That wasn't the one I was trying to get to. The mob is just bugged there. Line of sight has taken a lot away from it. It doesn't really understand how to path to me most of the time, which is... You've tried, mate, you've tried. You gave it your best. That's the issue with this mob. It wouldn't be the first time. It has attacked me through the walls. Where did it go? Did it reset? Or is it just on the other side? Oh. Its pathing was blocked and its HP reset. Which again, I think it's a bit buggy. That shouldn't happen just because your AI is not capable of actually keeping track of me. Because again, it punishes me, but it's not my fault that the AI is not capable of walking. Right, it gets stuck in corners. Look at this. This is just insane. It's just not right. Because I've just lost a lot of arrows and resources fighting a mob that should be capable to either get to me or understand that it cannot and just deal with it. You gonna reset again? Of course you will. So see, there are lots of issues. This is a massive immersion breaker that shouldn't happen. Now, I'm gonna let this mob attack to see if it can attack me through the wall like it used to. No, it's just gonna growl at me for now. Okay. Yeah, its pathing is completely toast. See, issues like these are massive immersion breakers. And they need to be fixed ASAP. Come on, there was another fire one. Where is he? Oh, there we go. This was a bit more of a normal feel right there. But this one's bugged forever, I think, on that roof. I don't have enough damage to kill it in like a few shots before it resets. See, it's quite annoying when stuff like this happens due to pathing. I'm right in front of it now and it's still not attempting to attack me, it just keeps resetting itself. I'm hoping I can push it off of the... As I've said, the damage and the attacks don't feel that impactful. Let's just move over here, maybe it will follow me. Come on, you can follow me back in. I like the fact that it will path through this and get damaged by the fire. Again, it hit me through the column, which is not the best. There you go. It died in the fire, which should occur. It's absolutely normal. But attacking me through the walls and through like pillars and stuff, I don't think that's okay. That's a massive line of sight issue. And the ones that are ranged will bomb you even if you are on the roof, like above there. and they're right underneath you, which is illogical. And again, it's an immersion breaker, and I don't think should be in the game. But that's it from this perspective, from the combat perspective. We've talked about the multiplayer and the progression of the world, which I understand why it is like that. Maybe there are workarounds for that, but I don't really see a need for it. It's just that the community has been a bit, you know, raging about it. We've discussed about the boss. I think there should be some improvements made to that fight. Thinking of the solo players, not just of group plays, right? Multiplayer. The AI, the bugs, the pathing issues, line of sight issues. We've kind of touched up on all of this. So, should you jump into Enshrouded in early access? If you're into survival games, you love crafting, and can deal with some early access quirks, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of fun to be had in this game, whether you build all of the time or you like the fighting aspect, you know, the exploration aspects. There's a lot of fun to be had. If bugs and grindiness and frustrating mechanics are a deal breaker, maybe you should wait it out a bit. But the game overall has amazing potential. The development team have been working hard. They've been listening, which is more than other developers have been doing with their early access games. And instead of actually listening, they've treated the early access stage of their games more like a live service. You know, but let's see. You let me know in the comments what you think and whether you've played Enshrouded, if you've tackled the dragon yet. How did you do it? Did you do it in range combat? Did you do it in melee combat? How many times did you die? How frustrating was it? If you have suggestions for changes to mechanics, to environments, to bosses, put it in the comments. Put it in the comments. That's why that section exists. Other than that, I think that's it for me for this video. I'm gonna wrap it up here. As always, leave a like. Hit that subscribe if you haven't already. Most of the people watching the content are not subscribed, and you should be. There's more to come. From now on, we're gonna do a little bit of this and a discussion and a review here and there for every single title we touch up on. So yeah. Just let me know in the comments what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Look at the snow effect. It's absolutely beautiful. And for someone that comes from a region of this world where it snows like this during winter and things look somewhat like this, with the exception of the shroud, we can say it's just fog. We get a lot of that. I simply love it. The environment alone makes this game worth it. The building aspect put on top of that, c'est très joli, c'est très magnifique. It's wonderful. So yeah, if you're a survival enthusiast, even a casual player, just grab it. Trust me, it's worth it. Have a great day.